because
This
whatever pipe
conference will now be recorded.
because whatever pipeline we have built, it's good, but it is missing the monitoring piece. Because in real world, you will be running these pipelines on everyday basis, right? And what if the pipeline failed? So who is gonna monitor this pipeline for you, right? Who's gonna inform that, hey, the data is not available, some of the lambdas has failed, so on and so forth. So how do we get to these monitoring frameworks, right? So to get to the monitoring, we utilizes the concept of CloudWatch, right? What exactly CloudWatch is? CloudWatch is a place where you see all the different logs. Inside CloudWatch, you have mainly three components. Let's suppose this is CloudWatch. Inside CloudWatch, you have logs, you have alarms, or before alarms, you have metrics, and then you have alarms. There's one more thing which is called dashboard that we can build using CloudWatch, but we will see the dashboard later. Okay, now what these three things are in CloudWatch, how they are being used, how they benefit us. Okay, so if you go to CloudWatch, if you go to logs, if you go to log groups, right? Within log group, you will see all the logs that are being generated by the applications or services which are running in your AWS account. For example, we are running Lambda functions, right? So Lambda functions generate logs, right? How it is useful for me? If let's suppose I am processing 1,000 records, right? Let's suppose using our pipeline. Using this pipeline, I am processing 1,000 records. Okay. Now the value of, let's suppose, a customer is XYZ. Here, the name of the customer is XYZ. Just give me a second. I'm getting a call. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. So the name of the customer, let's suppose, is XYZ here when the file lands in landing area. Now it has changed from XYZ when it finally reaches to the business layer to ABC, right? Which is a, let's suppose, which should not supposed to happen. It's a problem. So how do you know where exactly this has changed? How do you debug this problem, right? So to debug this, we have to go to the logs of the Lambda function, right? Each Lambda function. This Lambda function runs, it generates some logs. So I can check, okay, within this Lambda log, if this XYZ is still XYZ or it has changed to ABC. So I know this Lambda is a culprit. Similarly, I can check the logs of this Lambda function and see, okay, whether here it's XYZ or ABC. So I know this Lambda is culprit, right? This is a very basic one example of how do we use logs. So we use logs for this case, understanding how your data is getting processed. If there is any error coming in, you can debug with the help of your CloudWatch log itself, right? I'll give you one example. Okay, let's go to Lambda function. Okay, Let the functions load. It's taking some time. I'll try again. Okay, cool. It's here. Okay, so this is one of my Lambda function, which okay, where is this? So this is this Lambda function, right? Which is reading data from lending bucket, creating the pass and fail file, right? And uploads this data in the processing layer. Correct? So now what I'll do, I'll make this Lambda function fail due to some reason, right? I'll make this fail. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna uh, upload a file in lending area, which should trigger this Lambda. And I have made the Lambda to fail purposefully. So it should fail and no other activity is gonna happen. And then we're gonna debug through CloudWatch logs. What is the problem with this Lambda function? Okay. Hmm. Okay. Fair enough. Uh, okay. I want this Lambda to fail purposefully, right? So cool. So this Lambda, I'll make it fail itself. Right, let's go back to functions. Let's use the function that is used to upload the data. Landing. Okay, this function will upload the data back in the S3 bucket, right? I'll execute this Lambda. Okay, it has successfully uploaded the data back into the S3 bucket. We can verify this, right? So if you refresh this, it says 18 February. However, if I refresh this, it should say 22 February, which means this Lambda ran successfully. Now, subsequently, my uh, processing Lambda should run, and I should see data in the processing folder as well, right? So let's go to processing folder, and if you see in processing folder, the data still says 18 February, which means that our Lambda haven't run successfully, correct? So how do we know what is the problem with this Lambda? So there are two ways. One is, eventually we have to go to CloudWatch only to understand the problem. One way is you can go to CloudWatch by this place here from monitor, and then from monitor you can click this view CloudWatch logs. That is one way. Another way is you are already in CloudWatch. These are log groups. You search for your Lambda processing, right? So you search for your Lambda. That's your Lambda, right? Processing Lambda. So you open this log and both of them will take you to the same place. Now, if you see, this we have reached through Lambda only, right? This we have reached through CloudWatch only. Both of them are same, right? So that's the home of your CloudWatch log groups, right? So what exactly log groups are? Log groups are groups created for your service, wherein you will see all logs being produced by your service itself, right? I'll take a step back. I'll again go back to the log groups. So log group indicates For your AWS service, it creates a separate group. For example, I have three Lambda function in this pipeline, right? One, two, and there is one more, right? So for all three Lambda functions, it would have created a log group, right? You can see I have one for processing. I can search for lending, right? And similarly, there is one for BUSI, business, right? So the point I'm trying to make is for each service, you will have one log group created for you. Inside that log group, you will see logs of different runs. Now, if you see here I have logs of different runs, right? I have a log starting from 4th of October, right? And it goes up to till today, right? I have a log of today as well for this processing Lambda, right? So you will see all the logs belonging to this Lambda function in this log group for different days, right? Now you want to debug that why your Lambda failed. So which log you gonna open, right? So you're gonna open the log of today only, right? Because today I didn't see a file in the output. So you will open this log, right? You will read this log. Okay, you clearly see there is an error. It says there is no module name pandas, and because of which your function is failing. Okay, so you got the error why your Lambda is failing. You can go back, you can go to code, you can fix this problem. So I am importing pandas and it is not available as part of my Lambda layers, right? If you see, it's not there. And we don't need it actually. I want it to be filled. That's why I've added the pandas library. Okay. Now, if we test again, right? If I again test end to end, it should work fine. So the file is created. We are in this. Now it should be, and if you see, we have the latest file. You can validate this from the logs as well. You can go back to the latest log, right? And if you see, there is one more log coming in, right? If you open this log, you will see, okay, your Lambda is successful, right? It printed the event variable, which we have printed, and that's it. It ended, right? So that's how you utilize CloudWatch logs for doing a debugging quickly to understand, right? So this is one example. You can do all type of debugging to understand what problem, what is happening within your code itself, right? So log groups are only created for services which actually runs a code, right? Meaning for S3 you won't see a log group, right? Only you will see a log group which has a code running in it. For example, Lambda, for example, AWS Glue that we're gonna see later. For example, EC2 or any other service which has any kind of code attached to it. Okay, this is what log group is all about. It's that simple, right? Within log group, I'll have like few other features. For example, if you see this action button, right, you can export all these logs to S3 buckets itself, right? Okay, let's do one thing. Let's open one more log group. This one. Okay. If you open one log group, you will see these many options, right? The ERN of the log group, which is unique, when the log group was created, right? Retention, which is very important. It says never expire, right? So what retention means? It means how long do you want to keep your logs? If you say never expire, it means your log will not be deleted. It will be kept. It's a very good option. Let's keep the log for longer run, but you have to weigh like do we need to keep a log for longer duration or not, or do we only want to keep it for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, right? Why why because these logs are eventually saved in the S3 bucket, right? We cannot see which S3 bucket these logs are being saved by AWS. That's the backend operation AWS do, but AWS uses S3 bucket only to store these logs, right? So the longer you will store these logs, the more money you have to pay. So you have to decide how long do you gonna need these logs. If you think, okay, after 3 months I don't have any use case, so you can change the setting to delete your logs after 3 months. How do you do that? If you click edit retention setting, sorry, You can change this value to 1 day, 3 day, 5 day, 1 week, 2 week. You have these many different options, right? So depending upon your use case, the importance, you can change the value to these numbers. And I'll tell you one real practical scenario. In one of my project, we have said the retention has never expire. And guys, what happened? Uh, the overall bill of the project was, let's suppose, X dollar. Out of that, 40% of the bill is coming only because of the logs, right? And this is was like 2 years we were keeping the logs in our system, and 40% of the bill is just coming from the logs. Does it make sense? Just from the logs, the whole bill shoot up by 40%. So what we did, we just changed it to 1 month, this setting, and this way we were able to reduce the cost down a lot for our project itself, right? So these small things you can do to become a better data engineer, right? It's data engineering is not only about building pipelines; it also about building sustainable systems that are cost effective and built to sustain and last longer, right? So you can do this setting from here, right? Apart from that, you can export this log directly to S3 bucket, and then you can then see the debugging on the S3. For example, there is some other team who wants to understand your log, right? There is some issue happening, and you want to send this log to AWS support team. So what you can do is you can take export of this log from here, right? Create export to S3, and your logs will be exported to S3 in a file, right? You can download this log as well in the form of a Excel or CSV file, right? I'll do that. I'll open this log. I'll click on action. I'll say download search result CSV, right? So this is downloaded as a CSV file, right? If I open this in Notepad++, you will see, okay, that's how our logs are being downloaded. It has a very small log, therefore not heavy log is printed. Okay, this is pretty much everything about logs that we should know from data engineering standpoint, right? The next thing in logs is logs insight, right? So what log insight does is it basically allows you to run SQL like queries on top of your logs. As of now, our logs are pretty small in nature, like two, three, 4 lines. But imagine when you go in real world, you will be processing thousands and millions of data, right? And at that time, searching the log manually was not a easy job, right? Here we were able to search the log quickly manually, but in real world, let's say your Lambda is running every 10 minutes and it produces thousand lines of codes, right? And one of your job has failed within a day, and next day you are coming back. So you need to understand which job has failed for you. What was the reason? Then you have to scan all the logs, all different logs of Lambda, right? If you just say processing, okay. So today I have these many logs, and let's say all these logs belongs to only 1 day of run. Every 5 minutes, my Lambda is running, and it produces a log. So searching which log has an error, right? How would you search which log an error? You cannot search like error like this here. It won't come up. So how would you identify which log has an error, or you want to search for a specific customer ID, right? So how would you do that? So to do this, you can utilize this log insight feature where you can run a query like SQL like query on top of your log group, right? You just have to choose the log group name, right? So I can say processing is my log group, right? This log group. And if you run the query, as of now, as it is, it will show some logs for you, right? It showed me some logs, right? For this, I can change the time window as well. Like I want to see the logs of last 1 hour, 3 hours, 12 hours, so on and so forth, right? I'll just put, let's say I want to run this query on this log group for a period of last 3 hours, right? And I want to add a logic right? I want to say filter where message, I mean, message is like error. Okay. So I want to see within my log group a log which has a error inside that, right? I can simply run this query. Okay. And if you see, it gave me the specific logs out of my big logs that has a error in it, right? So if you see, it just gave me this log. I can simply go to this log. I can now pinpoint where the error is, right? If you see, I can simply pinpoint which log has the error available inside that, right? Similarly, you can search for other use cases as well, right? For example, I increase my window to, let's say, last 4 weeks. Now, let me run this query again and see. This time, if you notice, my logs has increased to 12. Like I have cases where the error is are 12 cases, right? In the same pipeline. Why? Because I have increased my time frame from 3 hours to last 4 weeks. So within last 4 weeks, I have must have faced errors within my functions itself, right? So this way I can identify. And if you look, the last error was on 7th of February, right? Before that, the error was on the latest error was on 22nd of February, which is today, right? So this way we can quickly scan our log without actually opening the log itself. Okay, this is what log insight is all about. Okay, so we have seen this log part. What exactly metrics part is, right? Let's quickly see. Okay, if you see on this left hand side, you have the column called metrics. What exactly metrics means, right? So if I go to metrics, it says all metrics. So metrics are the feature with which you can measure the performance of your AWS services. When I say measure the performance, what exactly it means, right? For example, I want to know how many times my Lambda is successful, how many times my Lambda has failed, right, during a day or let's say within a month. How would I know? There must be some number, metric, or something that should tell me, right? So we can utilize this metric feature. If you go to all metrics and if you go to Lambda, right? If you see, we have metric for each and every service within AWS, right? We have metric for EC2, EMR, DynamoDB, Glue, S3, Lambda, whatever, right? So I'm gonna go with Lambda only as of now. I'll open Lambda. I'll open by function name, right? I'll focus on the processing Lambda as of now. I'll just search processing, and if you see, it just gave me all the different features for the processing Lambda. Now I can have metrics on duration, right? Anything that you can measure, right? Can you measure the okay? How to put it? Okay, anything which you measure in the form of a number, right? Quantify, that is called metric. Okay, can I say good or bad is a metric? No, like good and bad is just a characteristic. You cannot measure like how good, how bad, right? You can not attach a number. Let's say good is 10 good, 20 good. No, right? But can I say my Lambda is running 30 seconds? So duration is a metric which we can measure, right? So duration, I can measure like 30 seconds my Lambda is running, 50 seconds my Lambda is running, right? I can measure. Similarly, invocation, what it means? It means how many times my Lambda is invoked, right? So I can measure 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, whatever it is. Similarly, error, how many times my Lambda was errored. So I can measure this number. So anything that you can measure can be classified as a metric, right? So in the case of Lambda, AWS provide these many different matrices, right? Duration, invocation, error, right? So let's do one thing. Let's plot two things. I'm gonna plot invocation and error. I'll just select these two metrics. Oh, God. Okay, guys, tell me whether happy, sad is a metric or not. Anyone? Lakshmi Madhavi.
Can you repeat the question once again, Aditya?
Okay, the question is happy or sad, is it a metric or not? Can they be a metric or not? That's the question.
I think yes, Aditya. I think.
How?
No, I think no.
Yes, yes or no?
I think no.
Mm-hmm. And why?
Mm,
Because you cannot quantify. You cannot say 10 happy, 20 happy, 50 happy, right?
yeah,
You
like
say
we measure
some
the yeah
some happy, very
yeah.
happy, not happy. You can only say this, but you cannot quantify like one, two, three, four, or same thing with said, right? So these are not metric as such. But if I say how many burgers you have
Mm-hmm.
today, so is it a metric? Yes, you can say, okay, I have two burger, five burger, 10 burger, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So this can be a metric. Uh, okay, let's refresh this. Mm. Let's go to all metrics. Let's go to Lambda. Let's go to by function name. Let's search for our processing Lambda, right? So same metrics are available for all other Lambdas as well, right? It's not like that these metrics are applicable for processing Lambda. These metrics are common for all Lambdas as well, right? Duration, invocation, and error. I'll go with duration, sorry, invocation and error, these two Lambda metric. And if I go to graph metric option, right here you see a couple of actions, right? Label means like what metric uh, you have chosen. Detail means which lambda function these metrics belong to. If you see, it says lambda and then the function name. Then statistic is like average. You are taking an average over a window of 5 minutes. So I'll change the average thingy to sum, right? And I'll still keep the period as 5 minutes, right? So if you see, that's how our graph is looking like, right? Around 9:15 India time, that's how our metric was, right? Orange line indicates what? Error, right? So what it indicates? And the blue line indicates invocation, right? So what it indicate? It indicate that we had a error, right? We had a error, but this error was resolved, right? It went to zero. I had an error. I had two error actually, right? But these were resolved to zero, correct? And number of invocation, it invoked here and it invoked here. So at this point, do we have an error? What is the error at this point? this makes sense. And instead of average, let's go with maximum only, not maximum, sum. Okay. So what it says, right? If I just look at this time frame, okay. So if I look at this time frame, it tells me that I had an error whenever lambda was triggered, but here the lambda was triggered and we haven't occurred the error afterwards, right? Ideally, it shows 0 at last because lastly we were able to run our lambda function properly fine, right? There was no error reported. Ideally, it should say 0. Somehow it's still saying 1. I'll see why it's saying 1, but ideally it should say 0, correct? Because after a point, after this point, the error was 0. There was no error reported for us, right? Wherever lambda functions was successful end to end. It was running absolutely fine. There was no error. So with this help of this graph, I can simply tell the overall health of my system, right? I can tell, okay, how my lambda function is performing. I can say here 2 times lambda trigger, 2 times lambda failed. So there was no successful. Here I can say 2 times lambda trigger, 1 time it was successful and 1 time it was failed, right? I can simply tell that. So if somebody is asking you, hey, can you tell how many times your lambda is successful? How would you tell? You can simply say number of invocation minus number of errors is equals to number of pass, right? Your lambda, let's suppose, invoked 10 times, meaning trigger 10 times, out of which 3 times was failed. So how many times was successful? Naturally, 10 minus 3, right? 7 times your lambda was successful. So you can simply tell this by looking at this graph, right? And this is for one of this lambda function, right? We have 3 lambda functions, right? So I can simply use this graphs, these metrics for all these 3 lambda function, and then I can see how the overall health of my pipeline is. For example, I need to monitor for all these 3 lambda functions, right? These 3, this one, sorry, this one, this one, this one. I need to monitor about all 3, how they are performing, right? So simply I can go here, I can check the graphs of these lambda, and I can simply tell, okay, during a window of last 3 hours, during a window of last 12 hours, how the overall health of my lambda is looking like, correct? So I can show you. If you go back to browse now, instead of searching about the processing lambda, I'm gonna search about the lending lambda, right? I can choose the same metrics for this lending lambda. uh, it has error and it has invocation as well, right? Now if I went to this graph, that's how it looked like, right? So if you see, the the red line shows for the lending lambda invocation, and for lending lambda, guys, there was no error reported, right? It triggered here, it triggered here. No error reported whatsoever for this lambda function, right? Therefore, you see only one line for this lambda. So you can tell by looking at this graph only, okay, the red line belongs to the lending lambda, right? So there was no error in the lending lambda, right? Everything was successful. However, the blue lines belongs to the processing lambda. So it triggered twice. However, one time it got failed end to end, and one time it got failed only one time, right? So you can simply tell by looking at this graph. I can add the business lambda as well in this graph, and you can get more understanding of it, right? So this way you can utilize metric for understanding and monitoring your overall health of the pipeline, right? On a daily basis, right? So what you can do is every morning you logged in, you can quickly come see these graphs, and these graphs will tell you how your lambda behaved or how your pipeline behaved yesterday, right? During the night time. whether you have any error or not, so on and so forth, right? You can come and then check the overall health using these graph itself, right? But there is one thing, you have to like every day come here, go to all metrics, select all of these things, right? So it's a very lengthy process, to be very honest. So is there a way I can have this graph saved somewhere so that whenever I come, I just quickly open this graph and see the overall health, right? So yes, there is a way. What you can do is you can save this graph to a dashboard. If you see, there's an option called add to dashboard. I'll click add to dashboard, right? I'll simply say create a new dashboard, right? I'll give it a name, AHS, uh, our ETL dashboard 22022024, right? And I'll just hit create, right? So it will create a dashboard for me quickly, and I'll just keep as it is. So this will add this graph to this dashboard, right? I'll click first of all save. My dashboard has been saved, right? I can add more such uh, graphs to this dashboard as well, right? One way for me is using the same process. I'll add it for now the business lambda. I'll go to log groups. No, sorry, Paul metrics. This is for which lambda? This is for processing lambda. I don't need these two. I need, okay, I'll clear this graph as well. I'll go to browse. I don't need processing. I need business. Okay, business lambda error and invocation, same thingy. So the graph is here, right? It looks fine. I can click on action, add to dashboard, right? So which dashboard I can add to? I have just created a dashboard, right? I can simply select this dashboard. This will add to our dashboard itself. Now, if you see, I have two widgets. These are called widgets. Right? I have two widgets. I save this as well. Now, every morning I can come, I can simply go to dashboard. I can simply open the dashboard. I can put a time range. Okay, within last 12 hours, show me. So I can simply see this business lambda. I can rename this as well. I can say this is for business lambda. I'll click apply. Okay, for business lambda, it was successful. No error reported whatsoever. Right? Blue means error. No error was there. Okay. You can zoom in this as well to understand more. Right? You can use a time frame like this. Right? So for these two lambda, you can simply tell, okay, landing lambda ran end-to-end fine, no issue. Processing lambda had some issue, and afterwards it got resolved. Right? Close. Done. Right? So this way, it's a quick way for you to see the overall health of your ETL pipeline. And your ETL pipeline is what? This is your ETL pipeline, right? It contains three lambdas. I'm covering all three lambda within one single dashboard itself, right? I have one more dashboard that I have built, um, right? And if you see, it's the same dashboard. It looks at the same lambda, but I have like three different metrics for these lambdas. One for landing lambda, one for processing lambda, and one for business lambda. And it simply tells me that my landing lambda triggered one time, my processing lambda got triggered two time, after which one time was successful, one time was fail, and the business lambda ran one time successfully, and there was no error reported. Same thing I can simply tell from this graph as well, right? That this way we can create dashboards, and you as a team player or anyone can quickly come to this dashboard and see the overall health of the pipeline. So I can see the overall health in one single view itself using this dashboard, right? Questions, queries, anything? Okay, no questions. That means good. Uh, so this is it from my side for today. Um, we have one more topic left in the CloudWatch, which is alarms that we're gonna discuss next time. So in alarms, we're gonna utilize couple of services that we have already know, like SNS and all. Okay. Any queries, questions from your side? You wanted to discuss about the pipeline that you were building. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Aditya, like we have listened to the recording and we will complete it by this weekend and we will ask you on Monday if we have any queries.
Yesterday, you were mentioning about some pipeline was failing for you, and you wanted to see why this pipeline failing. Is that issue resolved, or you still want to look at the video?
Yeah, hello Aditya.
Yeah, hi. Who is this? Sorry, because you guys speak from the
Yeah,
same.
like I worked with that pipeline, but still I'm getting the same error.
Sorry. Can you tell your name so that I won't forget tomorrow when we discuss?
Lakshmi,
Okay, it's Lakshmi because you use the same mic and a couple of people
yeah,
speak, so it's
because we
difficult to.
are, yeah, we are
Yeah,
in
yeah,
same room, so if we
no
use
problem.
different, it gets resound.
No problem. Okay, it's Lakshmi. So whenever you speak, please tell this is my name and I'm speaking so that I know from the voice, okay, this person is speaking. Okay,
Okay,
please go
sure,
ahead.
yeah. Yeah,
Please
I
go ahead.
tried, but it's not working. What I think was like I tried the assignments, the Git assignment and all that. So if I still face the issues, we can talk about that on Monday session.
Okay.
So yeah, because I also try from my side, because keep trying, I also find something knowledgeable, like how to solve that like that.
Yes,
So
yes, yes. Definitely, definitely.
yeah, I want to
Cool,
try more than 2 times or like that. Still, I'm facing the issue. We can discuss that on Monday.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Then thanks, guys. Have a happy weekend. Bye bye.